Howdy folks, Spencer here, and in today's video I'm going to be explaining how to obtain the parts for the new advanced R&D system and how to craft the new advanced R&D items. As always, chapters are listed down below if you want to skip ahead to any specific topic. Before I get too far into things, I do just want to explain what I'm covering with this video and what I am not covering. So I just want to be clear that this video is not going to be a review on the performance of the new consoles. There's still some testing happening right now to see how they perform versus existing options. And it's looking like there might be some bugs on the science ones that is limiting their performance. So any performance review about these new consoles is going to happen at least a few patches from now, just to give it time for Cryptic to get them all sorted out and to make sure that they are all at the point they want them to be at. So this video is just going to be covering the basics. I'll be showing the tooltips and the concept of what each of the consoles and batteries is meant to do. I'm going to be covering the new crafting materials, how to craft the items in the R&D window, and some tips and tricks for crafting these things, for re-engineering them, and also for playing the exchange and getting a bit of profit out of the market because it's a new thing, there's a lot of activity, and there is certainly a lot of EC potential for those of you that are looking to spend some time and flip items here. And another thing that I need to clarify is the modifiers and restrictions that these new advanced consoles have. So, alongside the release of the advanced consoles, they changed the existing Fleet Spire Locator and Exploiter TAC consoles to classify them as advanced. And then they put in a restriction in that you cannot equip more than one profession of advanced consoles at a time, meaning that if you want to use the new engineering or science consoles, you can't use them at the same time as the TAC consoles. So if you want to run the advanced engineering ones, then you can't run the advanced science and you can't run the advanced tactical. If you have a build with locators or exploiters on it, then you simply cannot use these new advanced engineering or science consoles on your build until you have removed every last one of those advanced tactical consoles. And this, of course, has caused quite a bit of confusion, and there are a lot of people doubting the value of these. And the reason for that is that many people do not seem to understand that these new consoles can actually get the same damage modifier that your locator or exploiter could have. And just to show you here, I have an advanced tactical vulnerability locator from the Fleet Spire at the left, and at the right is one of the new advanced engineering consoles with a phaser modifier on it. As you see, they both have the exact same phaser buff of plus 39.4%. The difference is the locator has a crit chance buff, and that advanced engineering console, the specific one that I have there, is giving me weapon power and is plus max weapon power also. So you can match the damage buff that your Spire consoles gave you, and the Spire TAC consoles are the only ones classified as advanced tactical right now. So there's nothing stopping you from running the Fleet Colony TAC consoles or even the Bellum consoles from the Discovery Reputation in your TAC slots. On my Delkina here, which I've shown on stream recently, I've got a full set of these advanced engineering consoles on, and then in my TAC slots, I have the Lorca console from Disco Rep, the Fakiri Torment engine, because this is a plasma build, and then I've got some of these Fleet Colony consoles. But if I really wanted to get that crit chance back, then I could go right into the Discovery Rep, go to the store, go to the Energy TAC consoles here, and these Bellum ones, it's a slightly smaller damage buff, but that would get you some of that crit chance back. Alternatively, you could just run some universal consoles, the type of consoles that you would normally run in your engineering and science slots. You could just run those in your TAC slots and just treat these new engineering consoles like how most of us have treated TAC consoles for the past couple of years. So the point is, these consoles are not as far behind as some people have been claiming them to be. And I think as performance reviews for some of these start to come out, you're going to see that there are situations where some of these new ones are going to be better than the locator or exploiter consoles. And on the topic of modifiers, clearly, as that last slide showed, you can get the plus damage mods to match what the Spire consoles offered. And these new consoles do have the ability to be re-engineered. In addition, the Spire consoles were updated with this update, and they can also be re-engineered, which I can show you here real quick. If you have a vulnerability locator or exploiter, you can now re-engineer it, and it will have access to all of the modifiers available to TAC consoles. Now, I'll talk about re-engineering more later in the video, but just know that the advanced consoles, the engineering and science ones, can get the modifiers for that profession of console, in addition to the plus damage mod options that you would have on the Spire TAC consoles. And in the future, they are looking to expand that so that you can get the science modifiers on engineering consoles and the engineering modifiers on science consoles if you want. So they're going to make this extremely flexible over time. I don't know if the Spire consoles are going to be updated in that way, but these things are going to have quite a bit of flexibility. And the next thing I want to go through and take a look at is the tooltips of the new advanced items, just to give you an idea of what these things look like and a general idea of what each of them is intended to do. The first things I want to look at here are the advanced batteries. These unlock from the same schools that the non-advanced versions of these batteries would unlock from. The only difference is you need to be level 10 in the corresponding school, and you need a special component, which I'll talk about later on. So the top buff on each of these batteries is the exact same as the non-advanced versions. It's just that bottom line there that they have added on with a different stat buff for each. So for your energy amplifiers from the Beam School, those are now going to give you plus 30 Starship Shield Pen if you have the advanced version. And for those of you not sure how much Shield Pen that is, if you look at your skill tree in-game, you'll see that each point of Shield Pen is 0.05% of Shield Pen, which means that 30 points of it is only going to be 1.5% Shield Pen. So not that much, but for some of you, that may help you out. For the whole patch, you're getting plus 50 Starship damage control. For the shield resilience boost, you're getting plus 50 to Starship shield regen. For the targeting lock, you're getting 1.5% crit chance. That's much better than most of these stat buffs. The kinetic amplifiers are getting plus 5% crit severity for 20 seconds, or for 10 or 20 seconds, depending on if you have the battery option in your skill tree. With the downside that it only affects projectile weapons, so 5% crit severity, but it only impacts projectile weapons. Not that big of a deal. And then we have the exotic particle floods, which get plus 5 aux power. Now, I do want to just quickly mention that some of you are probably wondering, why do these show 20 seconds? And that is because there is a thing that you can get in your skill tree. The first little node here under engineering called battery expertise. If you get that, that will make your batteries last 20 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So if you don't have that in your skill tree, probably consider that the next time you go through and redo it. And heading over to the consoles here, I do have a couple quick notes. These consoles do stack, just like your Spire TAC consoles would. So if you have 7 of these on a ship, you're getting whatever effect they have times 7. If you have 5 on, you're getting 5 times the effect you see. So if you're running these things, you're typically going to want to be running multiple of them at a time. So at the left here, we have the Hanger Craft Power Transmission. Now, I do want to clarify that the only parts of this console that are boosting your Hanger Pets are the lines that start with Pets Gain, the plus 39.4 plasma energy weapon damage you see here. That is because I have the plasma modifier on this. So if you have phaser on it, that's going to say phaser. Um, that is for you. That is not for your pets. I just want to be clear that this is a pet boosting console, but it does have one line corresponding to whatever modifier you have on it that is only going to boost you and not your hanger pets. Just to be perfectly clear. Now, the bonuses your pets get here do scale up based on the rank of your pets and how many consoles you have equipped. So you're getting a large boost for your pet's torpedo damage. You're getting a large boost for the weapon power on your pets and the max weapon power on your pets. So you're boosting the damage output of them quite a bit, especially if you can get them leveled up to 5 real quick. Rank 5 is the max for hanger pets. And something else to clarify here is that the weapon power is actually really impactful because your pets do not drain weapon power when they fire their energy weapons. Jonathan was talking about that on the recent 10 Forward and stated that that's just how it works in the game. When NPCs fire their weapons, they don't actually drain weapon power like a player would. So, pretty substantial buff, and if you are wanting to utilize those consoles, I would recommend taking a look at the Wing Commander Personal Space trait. This trait is available on the exchange or through the Infinity lockbox, and this will double the speed at which your pets rank up. So you can get your pets up to rank 5 a bit faster. And there's also a console off one of the Jemadar ships. I forget which one, but it's called the High Energy Communications Network. And this has a clicky on it that when you hit it will immediately give all of your pets +1 rank. So definitely take a look at those items if you're looking at running a set of these consoles, because getting your pets ranked up fast and keeping them alive is going to be very important for these hanger pet consoles. Now, the other engineering console here is the isomagnetic plasma distribution manifold. This gives you a weapon power buff and stacking max weapon power buff. Now, the thing with this is that, again, this stacks. So if you have 7 of these consoles on the Inquiry, you can get your max weapon power without OSS or any of the other max weapon power buffs. You can get up to 176. So on my Delkina, which I've been showing off on stream quite a bit recently, if I go up to space here, what you're going to see is with 5 of these consoles on, my weapon power is sitting at 161. Okay, so now that the map is finally loaded, I can show you guys that with 5 of these consoles on my Delkina, I am at 161 weapon power, just sitting here. Now, when I go and hit, say, OSS, you'll see that I even shoot up over 200 for a very brief duration there. So this weapon power console does have quite a bit of potential, and the intention for this isomagnetic plasma distribution manifold is to basically be a very strong competitor to the Spire attack consoles. If I go back to that comparison I made earlier in the PowerPoint, here we go. The thing is with these consoles, you're trading that crit chance or the severity for the weapon power and stacking weapon power, and there are ships that are going to heavily benefit from that, especially if you look at something like the fleet or the Sea Store Bozeman, or I think it's like the Fleet Soyuz. That's a really good ship, but it only had 3 attack consoles. And now with these isomagnetics, you can basically treat your engineering consoles as your engineering console slots as you would have treated the Spire attack consoles on a more attack heavy ship. So that is what these consoles are meant to do. They're meant to be a competitor to make those inch heavy ships be a bit more competitive in the meta. And for the science consoles here, just to be clear, these things there's not as much testing data on, and for the left one here, energy field gradient projector, the reason for that is because it didn't work for like the first week of its release. As of me recording this on Wednesday night, that console is going to be getting a fix with the patch tomorrow on Thursday, June 15th, which I guess is today for most of you when you watch this video. So this console just straight up didn't work. And what this console is designed to do is it's supposed to be a buff for drain builds. So when you apply a drain ability to a foe, when it works, it is going to apply Shield Siphon. Shield Siphon is draining shields from the enemy and giving them to you. If you defeat a foe that has Shield Siphon on it, then it will grant you a stack of Analysis. Analysis is a whole pen buff, and I believe they said that can have up to 50 stacks. And the whole pen you get per stack will scale up per console you have slotted, and the shield, drain, and heal will also scale up based on how many of these consoles you have equipped. So this currently is not working, but it will be by the time you probably see this video. And for the second science console, we have the exotic particle amplifier. This gives you a buff for exotic bridge officer abilities and exotic non-bridge officer abilities. This buff will scale up with the EPG skill, and this console's really going to have a hard time being adopted in the current meta. If you go and look at what most EPG builds actually look like, they don't have that much EPG skill. Most of them stop at around 250 EPG because that's where the crit chance buff from the particle manipulator's start or personal trait stop scaling. And it's just typically so much better to just run a ton of the universal consoles for science builds right now. I just don't think that there's really going to be room for this exotic particle amplifier. I don't see it being adopted, and Jonathan even on the stream was saying this is the one, he's probably the least confident about because of how the builds go right now. Maybe, someone will find a way to incorporate it. Maybe it'll be beneficial for like budget EPG builds, but the EPG meta is going to be hard for a console like this to break into. So that one's probably not going to have too much value long term. Okay, so with the advanced R&D update, they introduced these new advanced R&D materials, and there are a total of 9 new items. If you're looking to craft the batteries, you are going to be wanting to get the advanced battery superconducting loops, and I'll tell you right now, the drop rate on those is very high from any of the sources that you get these materials, so do not worry about the cost of those. The price is going to tank on those over time. There's 4 different fragments. So each console has a fragment and core item associated to it. You need 5 of the fragments to create a core, and each console that you craft needs a core corresponding to that console type. So if you're wanting to craft the isomagnetic plasma console, the one that has the plus weapon power buff, you'd want to get the isomagnetic fragments, get 5 of those, turn them into an isomagnetic core, and then you can craft that console. And if you need an idea of what the icons look like, they're ultra rare quality, and they're just reskins of existing crafting icons we have. So you can see them over at the right there. And as for acquiring these new materials, there are 3 different ways. You can play elite content. You can open Infinity promotional R&D packs, whether you buy them off the exchange or you buy them through the C-store. And then, of course, you can just buy these materials directly through the player exchange. Now, I'm glad that I waited to get this video done, because this Elite TFO drop section has actually changed in the time since I typed up this PowerPoint. As I was working on this video, they put out the patch notes, and they are basically going to be changing what TFOs drop which advanced R&D components. So the basic here is that there are R&D boxes that you get from playing Elite TFOs, and when you open those R&D packs, it has a 50% chance to drop a single fragment. And a reminder, you need 5 fragments to get 1 core to craft 1 console. So 50% drop rate is not amazing, but it is a way for those of you that like Elite content to go in, grind out those R&D boxes, and get some EC just from playing the game. And every Elite TFO R&D box will basically be guaranteed to drop a handful of those advanced battery supercooling loops. So the batteries again are going to be fairly accessible, especially given that if I go and look at this here, if I'm crafting the advanced battery energy amplifier here, you see it just needs one of these superconducting loops, and you can get 5 or 10 out of that one. So those advanced batteries are not going to be an issue, especially with how common they're guaranteed drop. They're guaranteed to drop from every Elite TFO box, so the supply of those is going to be perfectly fine. Now, for those of you wanting to just open R&D promo packs to get their materials that way, I do have a breakdown because I have a problem, and I went through and opened $16,000 or 16,000 R&D promo packs over on the Triple Test server. Thanks to MCDLT for copying the promo packs over for me. So the retail value of those, had that been on live, would have been $32,000 worth of promo packs. But thankfully, I did it on Tribble. And with that testing, I was able to get the drop rate for all of the new items. And when you open an R&D promo pack, you're guaranteed to get some of those advanced battery items. It's just a question of how many do you get. Do you get 10? Do you get 11? Do you get 15? So the range is 10 to 15. You can see the values up on screen here. But you can see every box that I opened gave me some of these components. And the other possible items that you can get are those fragments or a completed core. So for the cores, there's basically a 10.26% chance when you open the Infinity Promo R&D packs that you will get a core. And a reminder, you need, if you're looking to craft a specific console, you need the core associated to it. So you can see the drop rates up on the screen right now. And it's about, basically the way to look at it is it's like a 1 in 10 chance that you get a core, 9 in 10 chance that you get some of the fragments. And here's the drop rate info for the fragments, for those of you that want that. And with the fragments, you will either get a drop of 3 or a drop of 4. So to go back to that first slide here for the Infinity R&D, you are guaranteed to get some of the battery components, and you are guaranteed to either get 3 to 4 fragments or 1 full core. So the Infinity R&D packs are going to be a huge supply of these items, and I'll tell you guys right now that if you're looking to stockpile these materials, I would very much recommend you do so during an R&D event, or during a promotional R&D event that's going on, because once the promo packs disappear from the C-store again, the prices of everything is going to shoot up massively because there's not going to be enough supply from Elite TFOs. So now I want to go through and show you how to craft the advanced batteries. I already showed you guys that, but I'll just show that again real quick. The schools that have advanced batteries are beams, cannons, engineering, projectile, science, and shields. And you have to be level 10 in that school in order to be able to craft the advanced batteries for that school. And the cost is the exact same as what a normal battery would cost, along with one of the advanced battery supercooling loop items. So if I open my R&D window here, if I want to craft the targeting lock ones that give the crit chance, you can see there's advanced battery and then there's the normal battery. So click on the advanced battery, and you will need a fabrication engineer in order to craft one of these, and just hit start. You will either get 5 or 10 batteries, but given the drop rate of these advanced battery superconducting loops, I don't think you're going to have to worry about the cost of these things. And you can sell these batteries, so some of you may want to look into the value of maybe flipping the advanced items here by buying the materials to craft these batteries and then just selling the batteries on the exchange. That might be a good market to look at. Because what are these items at? By the way, for all of these new R&D components, you have to look under the all category. Oh yeah, these have already gone dirt cheap. They're 11K per unit if you sort by ascending price per unit here. So the batteries are going to be very, very cheap to craft. And for those of you looking to craft the cores here, again, like I said, in order to craft a core, you need 5 of the associated fragments, and each console will require 1 core. So let me show you that here. So if you go to your R&D window, you need to go to Special Projects, and you need to look for the special component for that console that you're wanting to craft, or the core. So if I want to craft, an isomagnetic here, there's advanced console component, isomagnetic. It lists the name of the console right in the title, so look for the name of the console you're going for. Hit begin, and you can craft multiple at a time, up to 5. You will need a fabrication engineer again, and just hit start and wait 10 seconds. Now I've crafted a couple of these and I have not seen it, drop more than 1. There's no chance for you to get more than 1 per 5 fragments. So just keep that in mind. And that's all you have to do to get a core, is get 5 of the fragments and then go to special projects and convert those fragments into a core. Wait 10 seconds and you'll have the core. So now to craft the consoles here, the first thing I want to note is that you do need some specific duty officers. If you're looking to craft the engineering consoles, you will need a maintenance engineer. If you're looking to craft the science ones, you will need a deflector officer. These consoles do not have a level requirement as far as I'm aware. So even at like level 1 R&D, you'll be able to go through and craft them. So open up your R&D window, go to either engineering or science, whatever your console is associated with. So let's say I want to craft an engineering console here. Right near the top, you should see item advanced engineering consoles. And you can see here it says level 0 is all you need, so it's unlocked immediately. Hit begin. Select which console you want to craft, the hanger pet one or that weapon power one. So I'm going to go for a weapon power one here. Now, for the mark, some of you may be tempted to go for Mark 12. Don't. That is legitimately a very bad decision for you to do. Just craft it at Mark 2. Consoles are insanely cheap to upgrade, and a Mark 2 console is dirt cheap to craft. You need 1 core plus the normal components you would need to craft a console at that mark. So if you go in and you try to craft these at, say, Mark 12, you're just wasting your resources. Like here's the cost for crafting it at Mark 12. You need all these other components, and you're adding a lot of cost to crafting the console. So just go and craft it at Mark II. Mark Anything above Mark II is just wasting your resources. Again, you need a maintenance engineer for the engineering ones and a deflector officer for the science ones. You can use Catalyst. So I have level 15 engineering here, and with me using 2 of the plus 50 Catalyst, it's 49.51 for whether or not I'm going to get an ultra rare one right off the bat or very rare. Doesn't really matter. So start task. You see that mine went ultra rare right off the bat, and 5 minutes from now I'll be able to claim it, or you can, just pay to get it right away. Now, as soon as you craft one of these things, the first thing that I'm going to recommend you do is find it in your inventory and protect it, because these things can be salvaged and you do not get any of the associated materials if you salvage them. I can show you on Tribble real quick. If I go in and craft one, I'm going to swap characters. If I go in and just salvage one on Tribble here, you'll see that it does not give any of the associated components, and it's a huge loss for you to salvage one of these things. So here is one of the Mark 15 Disruptor ones that I have on Tribble. If I salvage it, you see it's not really giving me that much there. So do not salvage these things. Make sure to protect them right off the bat. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is re-engineering. So you're likely going to get one of these with a modifier you don't want, and the mod pool on these is fairly extensive. I talked about how they have all of the mods associated to their profession alongside the plus damage mods that the Spire consoles have. So they have a lot of possible modifiers that you can get on these things, and that's only going to get worse as time goes on, because Cryptic is looking at making it so that you can use any of the modifiers on the advanced consoles from any profession. I don't know if the Spire consoles are going to be included in that, but that is going to make re-engineering extremely expensive. In fact, if I go in and I look at this one that I just crafted, and I go through to re-engineer it, you can see that the list of possible mods is already quite extensive, and these can be extremely expensive to re-engineer. I had one recently that I had to spend 60k to lithium on and 30k salvage. It just can be very expensive to re-roll these to get the modifiers you want. But if you have more dilithium and salvage than you have EC, then this is also something that you can go through and take advantage of, because people are selling the bad mod versions of these consoles a bit cheaper on the exchange. So if you look under engineering and you want to get the isomagnetics here, the cheapest one right now is 24 mil. But if I wanted one that has, say, phaser on it, then the cheapest phaser one right now is double that price at 48. So if I didn't want to pay that full price, I could buy that cheap one and then re-engineer it. Now, given that they are looking at expanding the mod pool for these, I would recommend you go through and get the mods you want sooner rather than later. And also be careful when you see that you have, like, right here, you see I got PHA. If you look at this, you're going to see plus phaser. But keep in mind that because this includes the engineering mods, this means that it's phaser resistance and not damage. So if you're wanting, like, phaser, you need to make sure it has the full word phaser in the modifier info there. But you can see it can be very expensive. Now that one right there, I got lucky. And if I had bought that one for 24 mil and I got it re-rolled to phaser, I could go through and sell that, flip it, make a nice profit. So just an idea for some of you. So I'll go back through and show how to find these things on the exchange here quick. But again, I think I already mentioned this, but I do want to mention it again. The price of these items is very likely going to shoot up as soon as the Infinity promo pack event ends, because that's where the majority of this supply is coming from right now, especially for like the hanger pack consoles. And if you're wanting to look for a specific modifier, you might be able to find a deal. Just make sure to look for the full modifier in brackets on the exchange. So again, if you want to look up phaser, you would look up what I have typed here, phaser in the brackets there. And if you're wanting to look at all of the advanced consoles, you can just type in advanced under the engineering or science category, and that will show you all of the advanced consoles, which can be handy if you're looking to see if people have perhaps made a price mistake on one of them. Like, you might find that someone's put a like an anti-proton one really cheap or a phaser one really cheap that you can buy and flip. So just keep that in mind. And for the materials here, all of the materials you have to look up under the all category on the exchange. They currently do not show up under the crafting tabs here, the R&D materials or components tabs. They only show up under all. And another tip that I want to give you guys is that the fragments are often cheaper than the cores, in that you can get 5 of the fragments often cheaper than what people are charging for a core. So you see now that the subspace communication power wave overloader core is 19 million, and if we look up the fragments, well, there's a 10 pack for the same price, and every 5 is a core. So if I was wanting to go in and make some EC right now, or if I just want to get the consoles a little bit cheaper, if I look up them fragments, I get them from the mail. And remember, when you buy stuff off the exchange, it goes to your mailbox now. So I bought them. I can now go and turn those into cores, and I can then sell those cores and make a profit, or I can get my consoles a little bit cheaper. So make sure you're looking up the fragments when you're looking at the components of these items, because people are very much ignoring these. They don't know that they can craft them under the special projects tab here, and they are paying a lot more for the cores and for these consoles. So take advantage of that. I imagine that'll change over time. The prices will normalize once people learn how this stuff all works. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover today. Going over how to craft these things, talking about the market aspect of them. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them down below. That's going to be it for today. Again, thank you to all channel members and viewers for the continued support. See you guys around.